4 things that are super important to look into during your due diligence period when you're looking to buy an investment property. First one is an income and expense report. Find out all the income that the current owner is making on that property. That's rent, any rent income that they make, and anything like washer and dryer. Some larger complexes have like a gym on the premises or different things that they're actually charging people to use on a regular basis. Get all the income from that property and then some expenses. What are they paying the gardener? What are they paying for maintenance? Have they made any large repairs recently? Maybe property management, all that kind of stuff. An income and expense report, super helpful for you to be able to get a good, accurate picture of what you can expect to pay and to make on that property. Second, super important due diligence portion is to get estoppels from the tenants that are currently living in the property. Now, the current owner might have all the lease agreements already in place. So even if it's a single family house, they'll have the lease agreement for the tenant there. If it's a 4-unit, they should have all the lease agreements for every tenant that's there. Now, where an estoppel comes in, and this is sometimes some agents and some buyers and sellers, they think that it's kind of superfluous to get an estoppel when you already have a lease agreement. The estoppel is essentially like a summary of the lease agreement between the tenant and the landlord, and it's just presenting that summary back to the tenant for them to sign off on, to once again say, yes, all the terms in this lease are still correct, and this is exactly what we agreed to. Now that protects both the sellers and the buyers and the agents involved. It protects everybody because if there's a dispute, because there's maybe a word of mouth agreement between a landlord and a tenant, say a washer dryer breaks and the tenant, but after the lease agreement was signed, the tenant provides their own washer dryer and the landlord says, okay, that's fine, you can do that, but then you get to keep it when you leave. But say that the lease agreement says washer and dryer belong to the landlord. Well, when that property transfers, now the tenant is thinking in their head, I made an agreement with the previous owner that says I get to keep the washer dryer, but the new buyer says, wait a minute, the lease says I get to keep that washer dryer. Now in California especially, the law typically favors the tenant. Most likely the tenant's going to keep that. So now the buyer is out a washer dryer that he was anticipating he was going to keep. So estoppels are a very up-to-date way to ensure that everyone is on the same page. The tenant is on the same page, the seller is on the same page, and the buyer. Make sure that there's no discrepancies anywhere. Super important to get those estoppels. Third thing is called the TDS. That is a disclosure that the seller provides to the buyer if they are aware of any kind of deficiencies of the property, any kind of damages, anything that would affect the sale of the property. This is the time for the seller to disclose everything that he knows about the property. Very important that you look at that you review it, that your realtor looks at it and reviews it, and that everything checks out as okay. The fourth item of due diligence is what we call an AVID. This is the Agent Visual Inspection Disclosure. The agent goes through the property and just inspects it and sees if there's anything that they know that's a problem, if there's a broken window, if there's scratched up floors or whatever the case may be. An actual visual inspection, both by your agent and by you, super important to do when you're getting ready to buy an investment property. You need to know what kind of repairs are coming up soon, what kind of things have just been upgraded, what kind of expenses that you can factor in over the next couple of years so you know exactly what you're trying to buy, both on a numbers level from the income and expense report all the way down to the actual current property condition. You need to know all that kind of stuff, and then if all that checks out, now you're ready to buy your property.